He's from Converge Media, founder Omari Salisbery. I call him the Big O. He joins us now. Good morning, good brother.
Gee, what's happening? Excuse me. It's great to be back over here. Yeah, I can't believe this. 6 years I've been coming on KIRO, but this is the first time, 2 times in a row now in studio.
Right.
Man, I'm moving on up over here at Bonneville.
Well, also, a lot of people loved having you on the last time you were here. Thank you for being here. I want to get right to it. You sat down with the mayor of Seattle, Katie Wilson. What'd you guys talk about? What's up?
Yeah, so Mayor Wilson came back to the Black Media Matters studio for an hour. You know, it's extended conversations, by the way. But the majority of the conversation really was about what's going on to combat gun violence, youth violence, crime in the city, and the things that ripple out from that. So we talked about what the city is doing right now, and trying to address these issues around youth. Also, what the care department, what's happening with that, and also, as usual, G, you know, I really feel like Converge Media and me personally, I really feel that, you know, we're advocates for the victims of crime. I really feel that, like, you know, a lot of times the perpetrators of crime is crazy, right? Because a lot of times, and I'm not saying that these resources shouldn't be there, but someone can perpetrate a crime and they automatically are surrounded by resources. And now, you know, someone can be a victim of crime and there's no resources for them. And this is just the reality of it, of what's happening right now. And so, you know, in my discussion with Mayor Wilson, I can continue to encourage her. And whenever I talk to Executive Zahalai, I encourage him as well that, like, man, they have to be able to bring some balance to what's going on here, because victims are being forgotten in the system here. And believe me, hurt people hurt people. And if people ain't checking up on these victims, it can lead to other things as well.
Absolutely. So with the mayor, she's new, obviously, as mayor of Seattle. Obviously, this is your second time, I believe, talking to the mayor.
It's about my third or fourth,
right,
altogether.
Yeah.
But as mayor, it's the second time.
The second time, right. First, I got a few questions to ask.
Sure.
And one thing about you, Omari, you don't hold back, and you're going to tell it like a TI is.
Come on,
so, number one, do you think the mayor's listening? And if so, to why?
Yeah. I would say in my conversation, I can't say she's listening to a whole city, but, you know, I can say that in issues that I've brought up to this mayor, and now speaking to the mayor, and you got to remember too, all interviews in studio. Yes, interview in studio might last an hour, might last 45 minutes.
Conversations.
But I see the mayor and officials all the time at press conferences, releases, things like that, where I'm always asking questions that might not make the news.
Sure.
You see what I'm saying? And so, yeah, I would definitely say that this mayor has an ability or a capacity to listen. Now, is this mayor going to, you know, do X, Y, or Z? Because, you know, that's to be determined. But I think that we see that this compromise that the mayor has put forth around these cameras. I mean, she was backed 100% by people who are like, take the cameras down. But it's impossible to look into the eyes of these parents and community members who are greatly impacted by crime today, G. They're not. We're not talking about people who are going to be impacted potentially in the future through data breaches and everything else, which is a real, you know, possibility. But it's difficult to look in the eyes of someone who's being impacted today and tell them, like, yeah, we're going to take this camera down.
And I'm glad you brought that up. You talked about the surveillance cameras, and because I thought, and a lot of people thought, that when Katie Wilson ran, right, I would think that her supporters, right, really thought that there was going to be the potential to take these cameras down. And it seems like when Katie Wilson was like, okay, look, we're not going to put new cameras up right now, but we're also not going to take them down. Why do you think she did that?
Man, because, dog, leadership is difficult. Like, it's transitioning from the point of being able to be a spectator and a commentator to actually having to lead. I mean, even in our own homes, we're critical as young people of our parents until we become parents, right? You see what I'm saying? I mean, and so you get in there. What I'm saying is it very well might be that during Katie Wilson's campaign, she never talked really to the people who are the actual impacts of crime. and the trauma and the layers of trauma and PTSD that impacts the neighborhood. Also, something else you got to remember, man. A lot of the camera, and I'm not trying to offend anybody on the take down the camera side, because what people don't realize, by the way, is I can actually speak about this. I lived in Dubai for 5 years. They got more cameras than any city on earth, so I can speak as somebody who lived every day. And no, I didn't just go there for vacation for 3 days.
You lived in Dubai?
Of course I lived in Dubai. I launched a TV station over there, G, in Abu Dhabi. Clouds Media International, the first black, TV station to go out of the UAE. Up there are Arabsat, 54 countries. I'll spit this game to you. I used to go all around the bubble. Content district. Anyways,
okay.
I lived in Dubai for almost 5 years. I mean, it is crazy. I really feel how people feel. It's like, man, I can't do anything here. There's a camera everywhere.
Okay.
So I've lived that, right? But I think what happened is Katie Wilson, during her campaign, of course, those weren't the voices that were being heard. But now as mayor, you have to listen. You have to hear these people. And you have to be able to balance both sides. And she's trying to split the difference, as I see. But I think that there's going to be more pressure, actually, to put in to actually activate more cameras.
Yeah. Well, I gotta say this. I actually, again, she's starting to. I respect Katie Wilson right now, and the reason why is because campaigning on one thing and then getting a job, and I feel like she is listening to this discussion. Yeah. And you said almost an hour-long conversation. You guys are talking about public safety. She's talking about, hey, we're not going to take the cameras down. We're not going to put any new ones up right now, but we're not going to take the cameras down. And this is from someone who at one point, earlier on, before she even campaigned, at one point she was kind of on the defund the police bandwagon, and to hear her come full circle and not have that energy, did that surprise you?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So here's the thing is seasoned somebody like myself who's been in and out the last 3-4 administrations here. I mean, you kind of find that it's just like, yeah, a lot of things that guys are running on a lot of things that Katie Wilson ran on are like blue sky. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of things are some things everybody kind of wants. Man, we don't want people to be hungry. We want people to be housed. We want people to be happy. Most people can agree upon that agenda and everything else, but it was the route, right? Is where it comes into it, whether it's the route around taxes, public safety, and everything else. But I will say this, I don't think, to be honest with you, Katie Wilson is smart. I don't think that a lot of this stuff is just like, oh my goodness, I didn't realize. Now let me, she kind of knew, I think, running on this, that not everything that she's promising is deliverable.
Sure.
You get what I'm saying? So it isn't like, oh, I've reached pushback, I've reached whatever. But I think most politicians know that. But I think what the difference is she is showing a willingness to listen, learn, and pivot. And, to be honest with you, that's really all you can really ask for a lot of times from an elected official is what is their willingness to pivot on something? Mm-hmm. What is their willingness to listen to the general public, you know what I'm saying, and make some changes and everything else? And I just wish these people would listen about these taxes.
We've talked about that, and hopefully now, question. I'm going to get a quick question on the taxes. Now that it's being, we're another step closer. Another announcement was made with the Sonics and everything, them potentially coming back. Do you think that if and when the Sonics do come back, you think they'll be even better and help businesses out with the small businesses out with taxes?
Yeah. Well, okay. So I got two takes on that, man. The tax thing is crazy, but if the Sonics come back, what people should realize is that what makes the NBA special is the NBA is the only professional organization that's part and parcel of the culture. You got other sports teams here where the ownership tells them, do not go into the black community. Stay away from black folks unless it's a PR setup event. The NBA, man, any city in America, you catch NBA players right there in the neighborhood. Mm-hmm. You go into black businesses and, you know what I'm saying, uplifting stuff and everything else. It was such a blow. I know for basketball fans, of course, it was a blow when the Sonics left. But it was a gut punch to Seattle's black community because the NBA and the Seattle Supersonics were the only ones consistently, and you just randomly see ball players somewhere they would just randomly be in the neighborhood because that's how connected the NBA is to our culture. So in that sense, I welcome them back like everybody else. And I hope that the millionaire tax don't run nobody off because, man, we need them here in the city.
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up. I wasn't even going to ask you about the millionaire tax. I didn't get your take on it. What are your thoughts on the millionaire tax?
I ain't a millionaire like you, G. I'm still trying to work out on the service tax.
That's the second time.
I think so. Here's what I will say is this, right? Because I ain't researched that one enough. But I want listeners to be clear, to hear me clearly, and hopefully in the legislature they hear me clearly when I say this, right?
Come on.
So I'm not a millionaire, so I don't know a lot about the millionaire tax. But like I said last time, we are impacted by the service tax now, which means there's a new tax. Like if someone wants to buy an ad on Converge Media, there's a whole new other tax on that. So now advertisers are buying less. You already know how it works, right? Converge Media, right? As a small company here, when people say businesses won't leave, they won't close, they won't do other things, yeah, we're really on the verge of that. You see what I'm saying? Because it's an inhospitable business environment in totality here. And so it's hard when people are like, oh, these guys, they make over $1 million or they do this and that and they won't leave. That's because you're not putting a face to a name. I want the listeners to know that Omari Salisbery, founder of Converge Media, who many of you guys know, love, support, and we appreciate your support, is telling you that it is an inhospitable business environment here in this city and this state. And we are on the verge of closing our doors because of it. And so if you ever needed to get some sympathy and empathy around what's going on here in the tax environment, if you ever needed to put a face to a name, and like I said, I'm not in the millionaire tax category. My friend, we're far from it. But I am in the category that can tell you that if something doesn't change here, beloved community businesses like a Converge Media won't be here, bro.
You guys are hearing the voice of Omari Salisbery here on the Gee and Ursula Show, founder of Converge Media. We got about 4 minutes left to go. One more thing about the mayor, and I want to just say this. Did you guys discuss any bills being passed when it comes to, like, one example that I talk about all the time is they need to get resource officers back into the schools. Did that come up at all?
That didn't come up, but the city's position is kind of clear on it. And I think that what Chief Barnes was saying there the other day when he was here with you, right. Chief Barnes is definitely an advocate. But man, that's the school district. You know what I'm saying? And what this superintendent and everybody's going to do. And we talked about this before, that, it's two Seattles. The kids who want the cops in schools, the SROs, and they have their criteria for that, they ain't really heard, fam.
Okay, well, who are the people that don't want them? Who does not want school resource officers in the school? I want to know who they are.
Oh, man, we break you a long list. I got segments, huh?
Do you agree with SRO in schools?
School
resource officer.
Man, yes, 100%, because the life of my child and the life of other children in the school matter. And you know what? We grew up in a space here when we see SRO, you know what I'm saying? We grew up in a space where you had people like Detective Cookie.
Shout out Cookie.
Where you had all these officers, and these people, man, they would put themselves in the face of danger. Believe me, and I'm not on some, everybody, if you know me, you know I ain't on no SPD or police bandwagon at all. But the whole point of it is like, man, yes. Man, are you serious? My child and these other children's lives are precious. They're precious. How can we not try to give our very best effort? And the voices of those people who don't want the police in school, this is a valid voice. They shouldn't just be ignored. We shouldn't just kick them to the side. It's a nuanced issue, but if you ask me what side I come down on, man, of course.
Yes. It is a nuanced issue, no question. But I think the voices that don't want them in usually go by trying to put words in the mouths of others.
So let me tell you this. Joy Hollingsworth said it best. She said that a lot of times people with these tragedies, people from outside the community come in and workshop their thesis and their hypothesis about what should be happening in our communities. And, that language and vernacular is what sticks around. But think about that. You know what I'm saying? Even what's happened out there at Rainier Beach, you got a lot of people who are coming to workshop their thesis. Well, actually, it should be X, Y, and Z and everything else. I mean, you just got to be real, G. And what I hear you saying, I won't put no words in your mouth on your show, but what I hear you saying is the people who are actually impacted by a lot of these things, their voice ain't the voice that's really being heard.
No.
It's the voice. I mean, and that's why I said we going to get a series whenever I come on here called The Two Seattles. Because that's exactly what happens, G, is that the voices of people who are scared of are always louder than the people who are impacted, bruh. No matter what, when you look at these issues, they have the louder voice. I'm fearful of what might happen with the camera as opposed to the person who's like, damn, the person who just murdered my friend and looks like they were on a crime spree is now being, grabbed on the camera, right? But the other voice is louder. You got this, you got young people who are like, yo, we got it on tape. They're like, man, we could start a chess club with the cops. We could do this and that. I'm like, man, I wouldn't have done that in high school. But hey, if this is what it is, it's what it is. We got it on tape. They're not listened to though, bruh. You see what I'm saying? Because the voice of what might happen is louder than the people what's happening. But you know what, G? I ain't gonna take it all the way there. We ain't got enough time. But you know what? When the people look like me and you who are most impacted, when the people who look like me and you who are the most marginalized, when the people who look just like me and you, bruh, that's when the listening stops. And that's when the people who workshop their thesis, their voice gets much louder over there at City Hall and county councils because they feel that they can make better decisions on our behalf, brother.
The Big O does it again. Omari Salisbery. I love it when he comes on, man. Thank you for that. Wait, before you shout out to your Steelheads, you know what I'm saying? That's going to be happening this Sunday.
Right, that's right. So home opener is tomorrow, but the big deal for me is this Sunday. The Mariners are the first team in Major League Baseball history to put a Negro League jersey in regular rotation, and the very first Steelhead Sunday is this Sunday. The Mariners will be wearing the Steelheads jersey every home game this year, and they're actually, you'll see it up there, they'll be called the Seattle Steelheads and not the Seattle Mariners on home games.
The Big O, are you going to come back again?
And of course. Oh, is she going to let me?
Oh, yeah. Omari Salisbury talk a little different sometimes when we get off the air. I see why now.